शरणं शरणं रमाम्बिके चरणं शरणं त्रयम्बके. Jai Mata. At the feet of Divine Mother Sree Rama Devi by Mrs. T.N.K Nair. The Early Days Audiobook Part 4a. Since this chapter is too long, I am converting this to different sections A, B, C, D, etc. Thank you. Thou the supreme power, thou the wielder of illusion, thou of blissful form, ever smiling, ever unshakable eternal one, salutations to thee, Rama Devi. Ever since meeting Mother, I had an intense desire to visit Mangalore, her birthplace, and also to meet Mother's Revered Mother, Sree Devi. In September 1950, while I was at Trichur, I heard from Mother that she was going to Mangalore and asking me to join her at Tellicherry station. I was overjoyed to get this opportunity, and on the 17th of September, met Mother and party at Tellicherry. From Tellicherry, on our way to Mangalore, we got down at Kannur and Kasaragod for a day's stay. There, amidst great rejoicing, devotees had arranged talks and Mother's bhajans. It was by the afternoon train that we left for Mangalore. For me, traveling with Mother for the first time, everything was a delightful experience. It was a crowded second-class compartment that we were traveling in. But seeing Mother, people reverentially moved together and made space available for us. The moment she entered the compartment, it was as if all were made aware of the marvelous holiness of her being, though she was as ever the picture of humility. In spite of the tumultuous din and clatter of the moving train, Mother sat in a corner, absorbed in samadhi. Very soon, the solemn vibrations of that deep absorption stilled all talk, and all gazed with wonder at that still, stately figure. A Christian gentleman and lady who were sitting nearby were greatly drawn to Mother. The lady could not take her eyes off Mother and asked in whispers who Mother was. She was astounded at Mother entering into that state of absolute silence amidst the noise and movement of the train. Yet others, in awed voices, said that the moment Mother entered, they felt a power and undeniable attraction emanating from her. A child who was crying petulantly stopped the clamor on its own accord. When Mother came back to normal consciousness, some of the passengers went and paid their respects. She smiled at them with understanding and love. Wherever she was, Mother created a harmony of awareness of the spirit, and even strangers felt caught up in that unique love. Just then, a waiter came with a tray of refreshments ordered by one of the travelers. As he was coming in, the tray got wedged in the half-open door. While all of us just watched his struggles to get the door fully open, Mother was at his side, helping him to extricate the tray and put the vessels in order. This trivial incident reveals us nothing else the mother's loving heart, which felt the need to serve and care for humanity. We felt corrected and humbled by that thoughtful act of kindness. At another wayside station, devotees come with fruits and sweets which Mother happily distributed among those in that compartment. By the time we reached Mangalore, it was as though the people in that compartment could not bear to leave Mother. They were drawn to her both by her lofty flight into the state of Samadhi as well as the guileless spontaneity of her humanism. At Mangalore, I had the good fortune to meet Mother's Holy Mother Sree Devi. She was a gentle and simple soul who shone with rare nobility and motherly dignity. It was an elevating experience to watch her who had mothered the Eternal Mother. The glowing picture of their meeting is still fresh before me in all its beauty and tenderness. As Divine Mother prostrated before her mother and garlanded her, the latter embraced her daughter in fond and eager welcome. Tears were coursing down the mother's face as she looked at her daughter. I saw in Divine Mother the winning voice of a child joyfully reciprocating a mother's love, gently stroking her mother's feet with soft, merry glances of love. I still treasure those scenes. They reminded me of Yashoda's love for the child Krishna, of which we have read in Puranas. The mother was verily a small, endearing child before her mother. Who can understand the play of that divine love enveloping the mother who gave birth to her? Who can visualize that life overflowing with the nectar of divine love, love untainted by Maya? Sree Devi was a simple-hearted soul, righteous in action, fully occupied with the duties of the house. She had no knowledge of tapas or yoga. Once it happened that she was among the devotees in a bhajan. In the ecstasy of divine power, Divine Mother approached her and embracing her, sat in her lap. The mother lost total consciousness and remained in that state for many hours. After that bestowal of blessing by the daughter during bhajans, Sree Devi would soar in ecstatic devotion, losing body consciousness. She became more conscious of her daughter's divinity, and devotion manifested in her heart. While I was there, I was blessed to witness during a bhajan how the old mother lost body consciousness and sat oblivious of her surroundings. Due to rheumatic trouble, she could never, in ordinary circumstances, sit cross-legged. But during moments of absorption, she sat cross-legged with absolute ease in the correct posture of meditation. Humble and simple she was, yet there was the quietude of a liberated soul shining on her face. In her love for her daughter, I saw the truth of Vatsalya Bhava exemplified. At times, recognizing the divinity of her daughter, devotional fervor pervaded her. Yet there was no element of awe in that love. But the object of that love was divine, and so that parental love culminated in emancipation. Many a time her husband had told her, never for a moment be deluded by the thought that she is our daughter only. The Supreme Power has assumed this role as our daughter. The decline of truth and dharma confront humanity in Kali Yuga. So Shakti herself has embodied for the resurrection of Satya and Dharma. See her eyes, twin pools of mercy, shedding their cooling light on the suffering jivas. See her smile, her look, her words, and her acts. They are not of this world. She is with us as the dutiful child, yet she is apart, abiding in her divinity, untouched by this mundane world. Her very presence will take the mind of man Godward to liberation. Never forget the mystic visions that came to illumine us before and after her advent. In spite of her husband's words of wisdom, just like Yashoda, Sridevi too was caught up in the bonds of maternal love. Often I saw her climbing the stairs with difficulty, calling endearingly, Rami, Rami, and inquiring anxiously about her needs. I can still picture her seated near her daughter during meals, coaxing her to take a little more, sometimes even putting little morsels in her mouth. It was as if she could not control her delight at having her daughter again with her. At such times, it was a joy to see the Divine Mother trying in every way to bring happiness to her mother's heart. I was received by the aged mother with love and kindness. She took time to talk to me, quite forgetting that I did not know a word of Konkani. One day, when she started talking volubly about her daughter, somebody nearby translated her words for me. She spoke at length of the wonderful nature of her daughter even from childhood. It was a simple record of the child's detachment and unselfishness. She never wanted anything for herself and was ever ready to help others. Always calm and peaceful was her child, the mother said, comforting others in their woe with words of wisdom. If her playmates quarreled, she would speak to them soothingly and make them forget their differences. At times, in the exuberance of prema, she would lift up children bigger than herself and hug them. She recalled an incident when a child was crying because her doll was broken. Rama whispered words of wisdom to that child that all toys were destructible, that there was only one thing which could never be destroyed: God's name. Repeating the name of Ram with her, great joy came to the child, and she forgot all about her doll. Once mother had been invited to a devotee's house at Mangalore. It was the aftermath of that time when mother had the sublime visions of Sri Krishna and Sri Radha at Talcheri. Time and again, mother used to be absorbed in the ocean of Krishna Prem. That day, she was accompanied by her mother. The house was not spacious and the prayer room was quite small. Two deepams were shining before the shrine. The devotee humbly requested Mother to sing. Mother took her seat near the deepam. Soon her glorious voice rose in the ecstasy of devotion, bewitching the hearers. Song after song followed in praise of Krishna. All were plunged in a sea of devotion. In time, the song ceased and Mother was still as a statue in transcendental power. Hearing her melodious songs, the neighbors had also gathered. They had never before experienced such bliss. Coming down to partial consciousness, she addressed Krishna as if the divine form of Krishna was before her. The name of Radha Govind burst forth from her in thrilling, vibrant tones, and her body began to sway from side to side, and soon she was on her feet, dancing in sheer bliss of prema that broke all bounds. Even so had Gauranga Mahaprabhu and later Bhagavan Ramakrishna danced in the abandon of God love. Never had such a sight been. In and around the small deepams she danced, her eyes turned upwards, her body seeming as light as a feather. Being quite ignorant of such supernormal happenings, they became anxious that she would fall or her sari would catch fire. Several ladies came forward to hold back Mother in order to check her movements. The Mother swept her arms wide and they all fell away. The room continued to vibrate with Radha Govind, and the singing and dancing did not abate. Awe spread in the simple-hearted devotees at the divine phenomenon. As they watched the figure of radiant godly beauty, Mother knelt before the deepam. Breaking the spell of deep silence, there arose the resounding musical sound of Omkara. Mother's lips were tightly closed, but the unearthly mystic nadam emanated from her whole being and vibrated everywhere. An inexplicable force seemed to envelop all. Thrice the Omkara came from the infinite power. Then there was a slight movement and Mother emerged to body consciousness. Fearing that she was greatly fatigued, they bought milk for her. Meanwhile, the old mother was very much worried, watching the state of her daughter. She came near and called her tenderly, trying to persuade her to drink some milk. Still in an indrawn bhava, Mother partly opened her mouth. Her mother had just given her a sip of milk when Mother went into samadhi again. She was so still that to the watching devotees who had never seen samadhi, her breathing too seemed to have stopped. The milk was still in her mouth. Her mother began to weep disconsolately. Her husband had often told her, "You must be very careful when you take her outside, for her divine nature and superconscious states are unknown to human beings. When these bhavas and samadhis come, be very careful of touching her or of others touching her." Being a simple-hearted lady, she did not know how to manage the situation and continued to pray tearfully. Maybe because of the mother's heartfelt prayers, Mother soon returned to the body consciousness. The murmur of Radha Govind still came softly from her lips, for she was in the love-lit realms of Vrindavan. Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage, Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage, Charanam Sharanam Ramambige, Charanam Sharanam Trayambage. Jai Mata.